We will mark this day in history as the first steps taken towards a unified galaxy. You're doing great. She would not break. She did not spend the last 5 years of intense diplomatic, physical and mental training just to break live on camera. As we join our people and cultures, we all resolve we come together as one, to say we are not alone, and we welcome you. Alright, now just the acknowledgement walk. One quick walk around the room and you're free. Stella Murphy kept an even pace as she walked across the room during her speech, exosuit servos whirling, as her armoured gloves reached out towards a hulking 12-foot-tall alien. I welcome you, Stella said, her voice flat and even. The six-armed alien extended its third jaw out of its first and second mouths to hiss a reply, the translation matrix cracking. The Gibrak Hive welcomes the exchange of beings and belongings to the new union until the long darkness shall stand. Stella's internal metrics pinged the chlorid appendage that enveloped her hand, as exerting PSI in the range of 1,800, as the dense alloys and compression gel underneath insulated her from the bulk of it. She pulled her hand back and nodded, the helmet and faceplate hiding her pale complexion as acidic, hot exertions slowly dripped off her glove. Stella continued her way around the room, stopping before a large tank of liquid, dark green ooze sloshing inside. Stella bowed, feeling the electrodes around her forehead heat up as the internal Faraday cage triggered in her helmet in response to the psychic link. I welcome you, Stella said, her voice shaky but filtered out and played neutrally through her suit speakers. A small warning popped up in her visor, alerting her that the tech could only withstand the link for the next 10 minutes before the circuits would be fried, and her brain would bear the full weight of the Telmine's mental link. The Telmine hierarchy aligns itself in destiny and in bonds. To this new alliance we welcome. Stella let out an even sigh, trying to keep her breathing calm as she turned and walked towards the far corner of the room. In theory, the suit held enough oxygen to carry her through 3 times the amount needed for the ceremony, but with the following species you could never be sure. The camera on her suit dilated, several filters overlaying themselves onto the feed, projected onto her visor. The resolution dissolved until the room was a near pixelated mess in her eyes. Even then it was not nearly enough, as Stella felt her fight or flight response trigger, and began to hyperventilate. I welcome you, Stella gasped, her vision swimming as an aberration made of continuous fractals and the tearing of space hovered before her. The fractal beam continued to split, falling in on itself and split again, the violet and red lights pulsing in a binary faction. Welcome, accepted. Shining light to union, agreed. Together, together, us together. Stella forced her body to nod and tried to make her way back to her side of the room, her suit pumping muscle relaxants and other chemicals into her bloodstream. With this day, history is made. The Federation stands open to all sentient life looking for a friend among the stars. May we protect each other and help each other grow in this exciting time of exploration. Stella bowed to the room, to the 3 representatives, and exited. Nicely done, remarked Steve, his voice cracking slightly in her earpiece as the multiple reinforced seals settled around her room, and oxygen began to pump into her suit, restoring her reserves. Congratulations, Representative. A new age dawns on the galaxy today. Stella groaned as she began the long, arduous process of extracting herself from her exosuit. Easy for you to say, she remarked, wincing as the electrodes were removed from her forehead, the suit going onto a mannequin full of sensors to diagnose and initiate repairs in the suit. You're not the one who has to negotiate with cosmic horrors each day. Steve laughed as Stella examined the suit, some dents and corrosion in the right glove with the diagnostics on the helmet, suggesting a complete replacement of the brain cage. You got me there, Steve chuckled, although you know that if I wasn't medically excluded, I would gladly stand there with you. Stella turned the words over in her head for a moment, mulling over the sentiment. Asthma's a bitch, Stella concluded. Especially in a room with those cosmic horrors, Steve replied cheerfully. The Gibrak Hive cluster present at the Federation ceremony was disturbed, an emotion that had become commonplace among the mindlings the more the Hive interacted with the Terrans. The Gibrak Hive welcomes the union of our homes and our people. For this Federation we shall stand with you until the lone dark arises, the Hive cluster enunciated carefully, painfully aware of the difficulties the Terran technology had in passing the spoken word from their true mouth. They gave me the creeps. Silence! It still has to exhale. How can we enter such an agreement with beings when we do not know how they function? There is no logic in... You have to admit that there is a valid point there. Not to mention the rest of this ensemble entering a pact with the Telemite hierarchy and the space tears. Sure, we've had cycles to study them, to know their capabilities, but just because we've seen them doesn't mean we'll be able to interact as people. This entire thing— Silence! I wish to pay attention. The links of the Hive cluster fell silent as the Terran approached the Telemite representative. Several of them threw up emotions of dissatisfaction and alertness. Their senses picked up as much data from the Terran as possible, and were dissatisfied with what was reported. Almost nothing. There was some kind of heat inside the metal casing that completely composed the form, and the quiet hum of electricity and power, but beyond that, nothing was known about the mysterious Terran that walked around the room. They appeared to take damage in stride. They showed no adverse effects on the atmosphere. Telemite psionics. Nothing was taken in or emitted from them. For all that their form suggested some kind of biological origin, their mannerisms and details suggested something much more. Not for the first time did several of the hivelings branches off into other hive clusters to debate the merits of the idea of a technological race, theorizing how such a thing could occur. The hive cluster felt its main focus sharpened somewhat, as remaining links fed its consciousness at the moment. Despite the hesitation and the tightly kept secrets of the Terran people, they believed in this pact. For cycles now, the Gearbark Hive had known it was not alone in space, that others travelled the stars. Some links had hoped of other hives raced on other planets to link up with. But the beings that they encountered were beyond understanding. A rudimentary system of communication had been established. Your star systems are here, ours are here, please leave. Small exchanges. And then, with this day, history is made. The Federation stands open to all sentient life looking for a friend among the stars. May we protect each other and help each other grow in this exciting time of exploration. The Terrans. Small metal beings who express nothing. No psychic resonance, no emotions, no pheromones, no biological signature of any kind. A true unknown. And the unknown wanted to talk. The Hive cluster watched the Terran exit and turned its attention to the two others in the room. We look forward to the exchange of culture, the Hive cluster stated, watching as the display in the middle of the room took in the Gearbark language and spit out two separate feeds for the others. Long have we prospered in the proximity of each other. Now may we thrive together. Several of the links began to scream as a connection was formed with the Telemite. Colour, sight, smell, and the different pH balance of several different Telemite biomasses were conveyed, the translation matrix, and the Hive cluster's recently acquired knowledge, filtering it into meaning. It will be a time of great understanding. Terrans wish that we would come together like this is a formidable one. The two representatives reflected in silence, only for the silence to be broken by the third participant. Small one gets so close without diffracting. The sequence is present but not repeated. Terror! 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 The Hive cluster's remaining links turned the statement over in his hivelings, unable to pass much of the meaning other than the underlying emotion. Yes, terror, the Hive cluster agreed, turning its senses towards the door the Terran exited into. Like everything else of Terran design, none of the Hive cluster's senses could penetrate what was behind the door. A true cosmic horror.